from the beginning and transcend each of these identities to reach the understanding or merge with the universal identity. So these are the 7 identities starting from the physical, going all the way to the universal identities. Yeah? Any doubts at this point in time? You want me to elaborate on anything? No. Yeah.
ಯಾವ ಚಕ್ರ ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ
ಯಾವ
ಏಜಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಚಕ್ರ ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ
ಯಾವ ಏಜಲ್ಲಿ
Okay. See, between from the time you're conceived, when our parents conceive us from the womb till the age of about 1 year, the root chakra is developing. It opens up. But ನಿಮ್ಮ root chakra throughout your life it's active, and even ನಿಮ್ಮ adulthood ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ root chakra ನೀವು conscious ಆಗಿ develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. For the first 15 to 20 years, it's unconscious unfolding because you are pretty much in the mercy of society, peer pressure, your authority figures, your parents, your teachers, your school, college, and everything. You still haven't developed an individuality of your own yet. You're still growing up. So that's when all of these chakras are opening up and they are forming programs depending on the experience on their own and unconsciously. You do not have much of a control over it. So you start as early as in the womb when your body is getting formed. Then at the age of 6 months, the Swadhisthana opens because that's when the baby starts feeling. That's when it wants to move and want things. It starts to explore, it starts to slowly crawl and it wants to kind of connect with things. Then it starts exerting its will. I want this, I want that, and it starts exploring through language. Right? That's when the Manipura starts developing. That's why parents say, terrible twos. Children don't listen. They really put up a tantrum and they really give a hell of a time to parents when they say no and they refuse. You can't force food down their throat. They will say no. They just don't open their mouth, or they will want certain kinds of things or at a different time. So that's when the will is developing. That's when they also make choices. So between 2 and 4 years old is when the Manipura is opening. It's blooming. It's beginning to form. Depending on the parenting, certain programs get stashed into the chakras. Then the Anahata social, 4 years of age. ಅವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಜ್ಜಿ, ತಾತ, ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದವರು, ಇವ್ರ ಅಂಕಲ್, ಇವ್ರ ಆಂಟಿ, ನಂಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಇಷ್ಟ, ಇವ್ರ ಇಷ್ಟ, ಅಥವಾ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಒಲವು ಮುಂಚಿಂದಾನೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಅದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವಲ್ ಇಟ್ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ who are the nurturers. So, but then developing a relationship of a social kind and an emotional kind together, it starts at the age of 4. 4 to 7 years is also time when they start making friends. They start playing and relate with their own age group and they go out and play. Then they realize by giving and receiving, by their certain actions, they develop certain responses. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವಳಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ, ನಾನು ಟಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ, ಅವಳು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದು ಆಟ ಆಡಿದ್ಲು, ಅವಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅವಳು ನನಗೆ ಟಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಲು. So that is a social relationship they develop at the age of 4. So 4 to 7, pre-nursery, that kindergarten age is a very good age to develop social understanding. That's when the Anahata opens up. Then of course the Vishuddha creative throughout the school years, and the archetypal and creative is essentially throughout your school and your adolescent years, and of course it moves into the adulthood. Universal is usually when children, it doesn't start as early as children and adolescents, it starts at the age of 20. When you become an adult, you start wondering, who am I? Where am I? What is this life all about? What is this thing that I see? And some children, some young adults kind of start their spiritual journey as early as that. That is provided they have experienced everything else smoothly. They kind of really reach that pinnacle of exploring their universality very early, provided everything else has been taken care of. But of course, everybody is different, and some people have started their journey very early on, irrespective of their issues or problems in their life. So you cannot have this as a rigid frame, structure. It's a framework. It's just basically to understand. But that's when the universal thing starts. Young adult. Yeah. So is that okay? So now we have kind of understood so far about the rites, about the developmental stages, about where, how the chakras unfold at what age and why. What are the essential things that we need for our growth. The issues that come up at each of these stages or each of these chakras are listed here. Now taking the Muladhara. Muladhara, as I said, is the root. It's the foundation. It It's the physical body. It's your physical structure, which essentially helps you to propel into this world. The issue is survival, safety, security. Issue because, say you are born, you didn't have shelter. Your parents had to leave their place and they had to run away in the middle of the night because there was war. There was a bomb blast. They just wrapped up everything. The house was destroyed. There was no food. There was no water. There's no shelter. They had to, Syria, for example. What is happening in Syria? Newborn babies, young children, completely plucked out of their roots. And some die. And some have been kind of plucked out of their culture and their place and everything. Even before they made sense of what is happening, their parents have fled. There's no food for days. And there's no water. They don't survive, they die. Or people who survive have very severe survival and safety issues. Because at the time when the whole Muladhara was unfolding, your right to have and right to be here has been questioned, has been demolished, has been destroyed. So you kind of grow up with very severe survival issues, safety issues, security issues. Also, when there is abuse that happens in households, when children are beaten up, when they are not fed, when they are not given food, when they kind of grow up in a very hostile environment, when the physical needs are not taken care of, all physical needs, warmth, clothes, shelter, protection from extreme conditions, weather, and nurture, loving touch, all of this are physical needs when you're growing up physically. So when that has not been given, and on top of that you've been abused, beaten up, neglected, isolated, and pushed to one corner, you develop very severe insecure issues, and you develop trust issues. You don't trust the world, you don't trust anything. And you continuously get stuck in that pattern of survival. Money, again, if you have grown up in poverty, you worry about money all the time. Even when later in life you kind of amass wealth and you earn money, you get still stuck with this feeling of I don't have enough, I don't have enough. But when you invariably explore their history, they say, now ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಊಟಕ್ಕೂ ಏನು ಇರ್ತಾರಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಏನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸಿಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. Now I have everything, but it still doesn't make me happy. Why? Because you're still stuck in that survival and that money pattern, or poor finances, or poverty consciousness. So all of these root chakra issues of survival, safety, money, finance, health, illness, if people have experienced severe illness in their physical bodies when they're growing up, that also the body is invariably weak, there's no vitality. So that is something that becomes of a challenge. So anything that is physical is usually stuck in the Muladhara. These are the issues of the Muladhara. Of course, if I kind of have time, I can keep on expanding and I can keep talking about traumas and abuses and the blocks that have created these issues. But we'll stick to some basic concepts. Then comes our Swadhisthana. Here I've mentioned sexuality because it's polarity. It is the time when you also start connecting with the sexual orientation of female and male. You start exploring your sexual experiences, your sexual orientation, and also it's not pertaining alone to the sexual act. When we mention sexuality, it also defines who we are as women and who we are as men. The way we think, the way we feel, the way we experience our world also stems from this whole understanding of sexuality. And the sexual act is just one small concept of sexuality. The kind of dresses that we wear, the way we present ourselves, the way we talk, the tone of our voice, our body language, our demeanor, and our appearance, our personality, everything is influenced by sexuality and largely by our emotions, our emotional development. So any issues with emotions or sexuality and blocks in this area is the issue of the Swadhisthana or the second chakra. Because if we at some point in time have not been allowed to explore our feelings in the body, the sensations that we experience in the body as children, and when we have been made to feel guilty for the kind of emotions that we had, when we have been told that you cannot feel angry, you can't be jealous, you should not dislike this, you have to like this, you're imposed by an external factor as to how you're supposed to feel. So you're essentially denying your right to feel whatever you're feeling by someone else telling you that you're not supposed to feel that. So that becomes an issue. And in your adolescence, or when you're growing up, when you kind of cross the age of 10, when you begin to slowly start understanding that I'm a boy, I'm a girl, girls are different, boys are different, you are essentially exploring and developing a sense of polarity. Till that age of 10, children don't have this distinction between boys and girls. They are one. They don't have this concept. It's only after that age of 9, 10, they kind of slowly start feeling, okay, I don't want to play with boys or I don't want to be with girls, and they kind of segregate themselves. You don't teach them; they do that automatically. And when you say things like "ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಆಟ ಆಡ್ಕೊಂಬ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಆಟ ಆಡಬೇಕು." So that concept starts there. So that is when their polarity happens unconsciously. It's not something that we teach. So that's where this whole development of sexuality and emotional development starts. And that is where they split into two. From being one in the physical body where this separation is not there yet in children, that split happens at that age and they develop this separation. And that's when we also develop our emotional maturity and also an understanding of who we are, emotionally and sexually. Right? So anything that kind of disturbs this, any trauma that happens at this stage, and any imposition through cultural conditioning and limited beliefs of parenting or authority figures in schools and colleges can limit your understanding, or it can limit your growth in this area. So people have emotional problems, sexual problems, sexuality issues, orientation problems, gender related issues. All of this can kind of stem when we have not been allowed to explore and accept who we are at whatever stage when we were growing up. Okay? And then of